Hello everybody, and welcome back to more Let's Play Star Trek Online. This is Brent Justice, aka the Doctor, and this is continuing my series of Starships in Stow. What I have to show you today is a unique starship in Star Trek Online. I was finally able to get this starship after a long time of opening lockboxes and gathering enough low-buy, and I was able, as of a few days ago, to go to the low-buy store and purchase this ship. It was 800 low-buy, and I've always been wanting one because I have been wanting to try this specific ship out, and it is a carrier. Well, what could it be? Well, it is in fact a Tholian Recluse carrier. Yes, the Tholian Recluse, the big old Tholian carrier. I have been wanting to have this ship for a long time. I am not a carrier person. I must stress this. I do not like to fly carriers. They are slow moving. They do not turn fast, and I like ships that turn fast. That's just a pet peeve of mine. And I'm not very good at managing hangar bays, simply because you have to launch the fighters, and then the fighters die, and you have to keep an eye on what the fighters are doing, and then you have to keep launching more fighters, and I don't know if it's all worth it or not. But for the sake of this series of looking at unique starships, this is definitely one I wanted to show you guys. I have been flying it for a few days. I have tried it in all these space STFs already. Now I have to stress, the build that I currently have on this ship is obviously not the best build you could have for this ship. I am running this ship on my engineer character, my primary engineer character. I feel that an engineer is maybe the best for a carrier. A lot of Healy abilities and a lot of good engineering space abilities for a carrier ship that moves very slowly. You want to sustain yourself because you do move slow, so you need all those Healy abilities, right? At the same time, though, the Tholian ships, both the Recluse and the Orb Weaver, are geared a little more toward the science end when you look at the stations available on them. But I think for the carrier, the engineer is probably better, so I put this on my engineer. Now, the build that I have, again, is not the best you could have. It is simply based on gear that I have available to me on this character, and that's all that there is to that. This character, it does not have access to everything I would like it to. There are a lot of things I do not have on this character that I wish I had at this time. My reputation, however, I am Tier 5 Omega, so I do have access to all those stores and equipment. But I'm only Tier 3 Romulan, and I'm getting my way up to Tier 4, so I don't have access to all the really good Romulan stuff on this character yet. In saying all that, I'm sure you guys will tell me where I've messed up and what build and what things I could do a lot better for my ship. But again, this is just based on the gear that I have, and I'm sure there are a million different ways you can configure this ship and a million different ways to make it better, and I am sure everybody is going to let me know all the mistakes I made. But this build does work for me. Not the best, and I wish I had better, but it works for me for right now, until, you know, I need to keep grinding, and that's what really Star Trek Online has become about, is grinding for the reputation systems, grinding to open the stores, grinding to get your gear, get that lithium, just get everything you have to grind for. So I haven't had a lot of time to do that. I mean, one really needs to spend hours in this game every day just grinding stuff to get anywhere, and I just don't have time to do that. So this character and my other tactical character that you've seen in the past are a little behind my main science character on the Federation side. But all that said, here is what I was able to do with it. The goal of this character, this engineering character on my Federation side, He is a Time Lord, but he is called the Last Doctor, and let's see here, he is called the Last Doctor, and he is basically literally the Last Doctor. And I don't think I've ever introduced this character properly to you guys, but just a little bit of background. He's the last Doctor that could ever be, and he has extended his regenerations way past 13 by using Borg technology, and he feels very ashamed about it, and he feels very bad about it, and so he's trying to redeem himself from this abomination that he's become, and he's got Borg implants on him and everything. So he's trying to redeem himself. He feels bad. So keeping with, and in fact I got a whole biography on him that's really good. If you want to pause and read this biography, there's the first paragraph, pause and read. Second paragraph, you can pause and read. Third paragraph, you can pause and read. And the fourth paragraph, you can pause and read. And the bottom, you can pause and read. And that's my biography for this character. It basically describes him. So the reason why I'm going over all that is because the goal and idea for the ships that this character flies, in keeping with that story, means that they're going to be a combination of a Borgified ship and a Romulan ship. So I like a lot of the Romulan stuff, and I like a lot of the Borg stuff. So his ship, which is the TARDIS, is been taken over by a lot of Borg stuff and Romulan stuff. So the shield that I'll be going with will be the Riemann shield, but I only have the Mark 11 right now. I need to get the Mark 12 set. For the deflector and impulse, I haven't decided if I'm going to stick with the Borg set or if I'm going to go with the Riemann set to match the Riemann shield. I don't know yet. But right now I do have the Mark 12 version of the assimilated deflector and the Mark 12 version of the impulse engine. So that gives me the set 2 bonus of autonomous regeneration sequencer, which heals the whole of the ship. And the Riemann shield, it does have a good shield capacity, but it's not the best because it's only Mark 11s, and there is a very rare Mark 12 Riemann covariant shield available, which would be a lot better than what I'm running right now. And it is part of a 2-piece and 3-piece set if you had those sets. So anyway, not the best shield, but I do have the best deflector and impulse on the Borg side. My warp engine, this is pretty much only what I could afford, and it's a field stabilizing warp core. It puts power to shield power. So basically I get plus 7.5 additional shield power. And plus 5 maximum shield power allows your shield power to exceed 125. So I did that just because, for one thing, this shield's a little weak, but also because I'm flying carrier and an engineer, I really want the best shields that I can have. So that's why I went with that. Now the weapons. What this ship comes with, just like the Orb Weaver, the Recluse comes with a Tholian thermionic torpedo. Unfortunately, you can only have one of those items equipped. You cannot have more than one. Even if you have an Orb Weaver ship, you cannot put its thermionic torpedo on here. You can only fire one of these. But I like it. It does a lot of kinetic damage, as you can see. It's got plus 20 accuracy native to it. Thermionic torpedoes were scavenged from captured Tholian vessels and have been adapted for use on most modern starships. Although these projectiles deal less damage than most other torpedoes, they are also capable of draining the target's weapons and engine subsystems with each hit, reducing their damage output and speed temporarily. You may only equip one of these ships or one of these weapons. So there's all the stats on it. It's a really cool torpedo, though. I like it. Now, in addition to that, I like to have as many sets as I can to get 2-piece and 3-piece bonuses. So in addition to that, I have the complete Omega set. Remember, I'm tier 5 Omega on this character, so I was able to have all 3 pieces that make up the Omega set. And that is the Universal Assimilated Module, the Cutting Beam, Kinetic Cutting Beam, and the Omega Plasma Torpedo Launcher, Mark 12. So all of those 3 things are part of the one set that's called Omega Adapted Borg Technology set makes a lot of sense on my character, you know, with that goal of being adapted Borg technology and everything. But I get the 2-piece bonus and the 3-piece bonus. I get the Omega weapon amplifier, and I get the reactive deflection bonus, along with all the abilities of these devices themselves. And this torpedo, it's awesome, right? It fires multiple plasma torpedoes really fast, like 5 of them. It goes bang, bang, bang. Fires them really fast. But then if you do high yield on this Omega plasma torpedo, what you get is that high yield plasma torpedo that the basically the V'ger type thing. If you go do the Borg kills in sector space, that V'ger type ship, it launches that huge heavy plasma torpedo at you and will vaporize you like that. Well, this is that. So if you do that high yield, that you get that same result. So you will vaporize your enemy ships with that high yield with that torpedo. So I got 2 good torpedoes on here. Unfortunately, I wish I had another forward weapon slot, but I don't. So I just stuck it with my Advanced Fleet Anti-Proton Beam Array Mark 12. They're the most powerful weapons I have on this character because they're fleet weapons. So they're the most powerful beam weapons basically I have on this ship, or on this character. So I put those beams on this ship so I could turn to the side and fire 3 beams, you know, broadside. If I turn to the front, then I can just fire 1 beam, but I've got these 2 torpedoes going. And the cutting beam is always firing at a ship. So it's a 360-degree targeting arc, and it constantly fires, it never lets up. So I can put that in my aft, and no matter where my ship is pointed, the kinetic cutting beam is going to go at it and have a lot of fun. Now, as for my other consoles, the Recluse does come with this unique console called a Tholian Tetryon grid. It is an area of effect, pet energy damage, buff, and attack, plus 33% all energy damage for 5 seconds to all affected ally targets. All Tholian fighters reflect 2 Tetryon beams for 202 Tetryon damage, or 2.5 chance, minus 161.6 all shields. So when you launch your hangar bay of what are they, Widow fighters? Yeah, well, no, Mesh Weavers. When you launch your thing of Mesh Weavers, then what happens is and you hit this option, the 2 Tetryon beams will come out of your Mesh Weavers and hit your enemies. So it actually uses your fighter ships to do that Tetryon damage, and it doesn't come out of your main ship. So that means you need to have your hangar deployed, all of them, if you want the most damage before you hit this console. Otherwise, it's really not going to do anything, because the damage is going to come from your hangar people. So that's an important thing to keep in mind, and it's just another thing you have to think about when you're in combat. Alright, now in addition, I only have 2 tactical consoles, but I got the anti-proton damage because that's going to buff my my beams, and that's I think that's really it. Now, as for the other set, there is a Romulan set under the Reputation, which I am slowly working on, and I'm not there yet, and I can't show you. Well, maybe I can show you some of it. Space equipment, no, I can't show it to you because I don't have it unlocked yet, but I can if I go to status and like tier 5. At tier 5 you get, let's see if we can find it here, here it is, equipment, energy weapon, experimental Romulan plasma beam array. I think that's it. It's either that one or, let's see, yeah, I think that's it. So you have that as part of the let me just double check. You have that as part of your set. Yes, and then when I get to tier 4, the other part to it is the hyper plasma torpedo launcher. So you get the experimental beam array, and you get the hyper plasma torpedo launcher. So again, it's going to be another torpedo. I'm not sure how I'm going to balance all that out, but I'll figure it out. So you get another torpedo launcher, the hyper plasma, and you get the experimental Romulan thing, and you combine that with one of the things that I already have for the Romulan side. I had it right there. It's right here. It's this console, which I already bought. It's the 0-point energy conduit. So you take those two things and combine it with this thing, and you have the set 2 bonus, which is plasma conductive circuitry, and the set 3 bonus, which is plasma hyperflux. So my goal is to have that Romulan set also on whatever ship this character flies, but it's not. I don't have those things yet, or those two things, but I do have the console, which is basically gives me a plus 1.8 power to all subsystems, plus 19.7 starship power to insulators, and plus 1.8% critical chance for right now. And then when I get the other abilities, I get plasma conductive circuitry, which increases plasma damage, and this improves power transfer rate, and then this enables a special firing mode on your plasma beam array, which deals increased direct damage. Sounds really nice. Cannot wait to have that set, but I'm not there yet. And I got my 2 shield emitters, or 2 shield arrays to increase shield capacity, maximum shield capacity. And then I did upgrade the hangars. This is what the hangars come with right here, and it's called the Hangar Tholian Widow Fighter. It's basic. It's got Tetrion beam arrays, quantum torpedoes, and supports Recluse Tetrion grid, which is very basic. And everyone told me, upgrade, upgrade, upgrade. So I did. I upgraded to the advanced Tholian mesh weavers. They have 2 times Tetrion dual beam banks, Tetrion beam array, Tholian thermionic torpedoes, so they themselves have this same torpedo that I'm firing. Beam array, they also have some abilities. Beam array fire at will 2, attack pattern beta 2, evasive maneuvers 1, and it also supports the Recluse Tetrion grid. So what I do lose, though, I just noticed, I do lose the... No, I don't lose anything. Never mind. I was confusing Tetrion grid with the orb weaver ability. No, okay, yeah. So it's just better. Now, where did I get those? You go to the dilithium store, special items and boxes. I think that's where I went. Yeah, and hangar advanced Tholian mesh weavers, and they're 30,250 dilithium each. I bought 2 of them, and now I got the best hangar abilities you can have. So awesome. Now, stations. How is this thing laid out? Well, it is a little heavy on science. It's got a lieutenant commander science station that you're locked into. So you have to have a lieutenant commander science ability, and you also have to have an ensign science. So that's required. And you also have to have a lieutenant commander engineering and an ensign tactical. But you do get a universal station. So if one did not want a lot of tactical powers, they could max this up with engineering powers, or they could max this out with science powers. But of course, I wanted to have a lot of tactical powers, so I used the universal slot to give me more tactical powers and abilities that help me turn better, because this thing turns like a slug. I wanted a bunch of things that can help me buff my turn rate, just to be honest with you. That's what I wanted. I got beam array fire at will 1 because I've got beams and I can do fire at will, and that's nice. I got torpedo spread 2, and I got torpedo high yield 2, so I can do torpedo spread and torpedo high yield. I like the torpedo high yield. I had to keep that high yield 3. And then I got attack pattern omega 2, which gives me a turn rate bonus, and I needed that so bad. It also helps you get out of tractor beams, but boy does that help a lot. And then for my ensign tactical team 1. Now for my lieutenant commander engineering, I got emergency power to shield 3, and I did that by training myself in that because I'm on an engineering character, so I used my own abilities to train up my engineering abilities. So I've got emergency power to shields 3, level 3, so that's really going to help protect my ship. engineering team 2, and then emergency power to engines so that I can turn more better. Again, all about turning there. That's the reason for that. Now my science powers, it's forcing me to have a lot of science powers, so I went ahead and just got, because this thing is not throwing out a lot of beams, I wish I had another slot for doing beams or something. I decided to put feedback pulse 2 on there, so that way any incoming energy damage is thrown back to the target and does damage to them, and it does 50% shield penetration. So at the same time, this is like adding another weapon to your ship, basically, where when they fire on you, it fires these packets of energy back at them. So I can do a little bit more damage that way. I also got Science Team 2, Polarized Hull 1, and Hazard Emitters 1. And that's pretty much what I've got for right now. That's what I went with, and it's been working for me. So we'll go into space and we'll look at it here, but yeah, that's what I've got right now. So let's do that. Let's go into space, because I think we're done here on the ground. And I'll show you some of that stuff. I'll show you how it turns and everything too. And I'll turn off the shield visual so you can see what the ship looks like without the shield. So let's turn that off real quick and disable visuals. So that's what the Tholian Recluse looks like on its own. There's a close-up of it. You can get a really good view for it. Very nice textures. It's got these blue things here. I'm assuming that this blue stuff here is the deflectors. It's got them on all the points, but I'm assuming that's where they would put their deflector, because there's nothing like in the middle like the Federation has, but it seems to me like these would be the deflectors. But I like the way it's connected. If you look at the way it's connected, it's got this, like, the middle part is hanging in the middle. I guess is the best way to say it. And then this strut is holding it, this strut is holding it, and then this strut is holding it, and then in the back you've got this strut that's holding it. So to me, you know what it looks like is that if they wanted to, if the Tholians wanted to improve this ship, or if Cryptic wanted to improve this ship and give us a unique ability on this ship, the ability for this middle part to come out and detach from the rest of the claw seems like it could be an ability that this ship could support. You know, like it would detach from those points, and then this middle part could come out and do stuff on its own, like maybe turn really fast, because at that point you got none of this big stuff behind it. It would be able to like flip around in circles all over the place. So you could have it like a pet that's firing, or a really big, kind of like on it's one of those Federation ships. I think it's the multi-vector one. No, not the multi-vector. The I just forgot the name of it. But the one where it's got 3 ships and they have that ability, you know, where like the ship in the back part of it comes out and then helps fire and stuff. That could be what this ship could do. Anyway, that's just a thought that I had. Just a random thought. It would be cool. Anyway, more close-ups. That's my Borg engine stuff on it. So it's very big. Very big. But it's not as big as you would think. Like, there's a Dideridex right there, so we can like come right up against that, or right beside that for a comparison. You know, it's about the size of a Dideridex, which is still big because we know that ship's big too. But they are comparably sized. The Tholian Recluse might be a little bit taller because of the points. But there's some size comparisons for you with all these ships out here. It is gigantic. There's no question about that. This is a gigantic ship. So let's come out here away from everybody, and I'll show you how she turns and moves and everything. We'll turn the visuals back on the shield because I like that. Why did I unequip it? I'm so stupid. Okay, There we go, with the Riemann look on it. I like that. I like the lines, the little green lines it has on it. So here we are out in space. Now we'll do a full turn. Let's come to a full stop. I'll hit impulse and I'll smack the turn. There we go. That's how slow it turns. I got my finger pegged on the keyboard. That's the turn rate right there. Yep. So to come all the way about and turn and face the station is taking a very long time. And time. And time. There we go. So that is how long it takes to turn. Okay. Now we add in our attack pattern Omega 2, and now watch. So much better. We'll keep the camera still. That is now turning so much better. It's still slow, but it's an increase. Now if we combine this ability and this ability at the same time, it'll turn on a dime. Let's orient it back to the station, and I'm going to try all of these together, and I'll show you how fast it can turn when you use evasive maneuvers, and you use emergency power to engines, and you use your Omega ability. Now watch how fast it will turn after that cools down. While that's cooling down, here's all my abilities. This is the Tetrion grid, Tholian Tetrion grid. You can read about that there. It tells you all about that. 33% all energy damage for 5 seconds, blah, blah, blah. These are my hangars, my Tholian mesh weavers. We'll pop those out in a second and look at them. My feedback pulse. We'll check all that out. Okay, now, you know, I just noticed something. My main power, my powers are not very good. I don't know why. I need to... Oh, I'm in reverse. That's why. I was my ship was in reverse. That's why the powers look like they suck. Okay. All right. Now watch this. We're gonna go bam, bam, bam. Oh, I gotta turn impulse. Duh. Now look at that turn rate. That's with everything enabled. Now I can turn around to where I need to go. It didn't even make a full turn, but that was because I lagged behind on my going to impulse. So having all three of those things really helps the turn rate. Now if you do that plus increase the power, remember my engines can go to 125. So if I increase my power all around, I'll show you that. It can turn really fast. If I can remember to, oh yeah, now I'm near Earth. Let's get away from Earth, or the space dock, or something. Couldn't use full impulse. And even at full impulse, it turns really slow. There's full impulse turn rate. Yeah, that is slow, folks. That's the full impulse turn rate. Wow. So, yeah. That's slow. This is why I don't like carriers, to be honest with you. Alright, now while my numbers get all back to normal, now we're going to max out my power, and we're going to max everything out. I'm going to go ahead and set it to impulse. And that's the turn rate with everything maxed out. I can make a full revolution all the way around, all the way right back around, and then everything that is run out by that time. So yeah. Alright, let's get the mesh weavers out. So you can launch one, and then you can launch two. Now after these cool down 20 seconds, then I can launch two more. So yeah, there's one right there, there's one right there. And when this cools down, I can launch two more. So I can only have 4 out at one time. There's the third one. And there's the fourth one. So we've got 4 of them out there now. And we can set them to attack my targets. And that's it. That's all that we can have. They will take a formation around the ship, I guess. I don't know how they do that. We'll see here. There we go, just like that. Now if I try to launch more, like there's 4 of them, if I try to launch another one, I think one will disappear. Yeah, see, that one disappeared to make room for that one. So you can only have 4 out at one time. If we do this one, another one will disappear, and yeah, there you go, only 4 out. But they do stay with you all the time, and they follow you and will do whatever you want them to do. So that's kind of neat, but you just have to keep in mind how to use them and everything, and keep in mind which ones are alive and which ones are dead. I mean, they can die and you won't even know it because they're very tiny and they're very hard to see, especially in combat. With a lot of combat going on, they're really hard to see. So now that I got 4 of them out, I'll hit the Tetryon grid. See that Tetryon grid? See, that only happened between the mesh weavers, so you have to make sure they're out to use that. But there, it works. Now, what else does this? What are the stats on this thing? Crew complement 2,500, very large. Hull is 60,000, very, 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 very tough hull. Now my shield capacity is not very good. It's only 16,000, and it could be like 20,000 or higher if I had a better shield. I've got a 66.8% crit severity on this character, and a bonus accuracy of 25%, and almost a 9% crit chance. And there are the specs on the turn rate: 3.8 degrees a second, 19.41 flight speed. Oh yes, I forgot. One of the consoles which I always have to have is my tachyonetic converter. I always use that because look at that, plus 22.9% flight turn rate, plus 22.9% flight turn rate. I mean, that just says it right there. Plus it increases your critical chance and critical severity. Now it is part of that time stuff on the time ship, the Wells class or Mobius or whatever, but I don't use all that. I don't need the other consoles. I just need this one to help me with the turn rate. So even as moving as slow as I was, I've got all these turn rate buffs and it's still that slow. Alright, I mean, I can take that thing off. 3.1, 19.41, 3.8. See, it helps me a little bit, but it actually is a lot worse without all these things on. I've got that, and then I think I might even have some traits that help me even more with that. I'm not sure. No, I don't think so. I got Warp Theorist, which is just power levels, which inherently does help the engine power level. But yeah, so you know, it could be, it is even worse without all the buffs that I have just to help this thing turn better. So that is, I was going to do a quick look at the ship. It ended up being a very long look. That is a long introduction to the Tholian Recluse. But as we all know, nothing is proven until we actually get this thing in battle. So I'm going to queue up for Infected Space Elite, and then Cure Space Elite, and then Kittimer Accord Space Elite, and show this off to you in combat against the Borg. Keep in mind, I have not been having very good luck lately with queuing up for those things. A lot of new people playing the game, which is absolutely wonderful and great. But a lot of new people come in and do not know the tactics for the Elite STFs, and hence sometimes we have some bad runs, more often now than it has been in the past. So hopefully it will go smooth. I will help where I can. So if you guys will stay tuned, we will get that going, and then we can see what this thing actually looks like in battle. So thank you, and stay tuned for the next video.